Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters on That podcast. I'm your host Brian. Joining me today are two very special guests hailing from the Deep South, JW and Zach Domogalla. How you doing, brothers?
Hey man, thanks for having us.
No worries. How y'all doing today?
We're doing great. Just happy to be here.
That's good to hear. And actually, which part of the Deep South are you a part of?
Muscle Shoals, Alabama.
The Music City.
Music City of Alabama, not Greenbow, Alabama, like in Forrest Gump. I'm sure you get that joke a lot.
Muscle Shoals actually exists.
Like Nashville, Diet Nashville.
Yeah.
That's very good to hear. And it's good to see you guys are doing well. And it looks like you're prepping for the Halloween season. So I think from some of the pictures I've seen, I think JW's got the sort of Walking Dead or Zombie Hunter sort of look. What's going on there?
From this, the Salmon Show.
We did a Sam Hain festival here in town. It's like a Day of the Dead, and they encouraged everybody to dress up. So I just splashed a bunch of fake blood on and went as a zombie guy.
You are committed, I'll tell you that much. But I also saw you were holding a bat to your drum set. I'm thinking like, no, not the drum set.
It never saw it coming.
Yeah.
At least I would hope not, but it was all good. And it looks like you guys are doing pretty well. And I did check out your music recently, and I also saw you guys on Spotify there too. So I guess when did you guys release your first single?
Well, oh gosh, I have been releasing music under my name since about 2009. But about a year ago, I teamed up with JW and Sydney and Caleb, who are our other musicians who couldn't be here today. And we decided to go by the Domogalla project. But the most recent release that we had is a song called Mrs. Moon Eyes.
Oh, it's such a killer song too. And actually, when I was saying the name originally, I think like, is that some sort of crazy Hindu or something right there? Because I remember a friend of mine I had actually interviewed a while back. He was part of a metal group called the Dajjal Persona. So I was wondering but it's actually our last name. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's my real name. That's Domogalla. Good old Southern name.
Yeah.
Traditional family
name.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right. Well, we're going to touch more on the Domogalla project in just a little bit here, but let's just first start with a couple questions right here. I guess let's start with get to know who you guys are, and then I guess go ahead and jump into the band afterwards.
Well, what would you like to know?
I guess how did it all start?
Oh gosh, that's such a long story. I guess so. I was originally born and raised in Nevada, and I started playing music around 13 or 14. I took it very seriously right out of the gate, and by the time I was 18, I had recorded and produced an album out of my kitchen. And that ended up getting some regional radio play, and from there got sought out by a company called Water Sign Studios that offered a 1-album deal. I went and I did that. That had some regional success, and then a little bit of a international success back when Sirius and XM were two separate companies. This was forever ago.
That's how you know dinosaurs were roaming the earth.
Exactly. That's back when people used to buy things called compact discs.
All right, Grandpa.
Yeah.
Back to bed.
But and then I ended up getting a phone call from a producer who was a producer, bass player, and songwriter of Casey and the Sunshine Band, and he flew me out, and we released another album. That album ended up being considered for the 52nd annual Grammys in 5 categories. Long story short, after that, I went on tour nationally with a band called Marcy Playground. I was with them for about 8 years. They in the 90s they had a pretty big single called Sex and Candy. Some people remember that song.
A few people might remember that.
And then there were the dark times after that. I won't go into detail about that too much. But a result of that was moving to here in Muscle Shoals. And then I met these fellas, and everything started taking off again in all the right ways. So we, after with the experience that I had and everything that I'd learned throughout my time in the industry, and with simultaneously with what he had learned doing what he was doing through those years as well, we just decided that we would come together and not only be a band, but we would form our own management company, record label, open up merchandising wing so we could do everything in-house on our own. And takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, but I think it was the right move for all of us.
All right, and JW, how'd you become a drummer?
Oh, I had played drums in my elementary and high school band for a long time, but it wasn't until I graduated high school when I was 17 that I went and saw my first local band play. I was really old to see my first band play, and it blew my mind and changed my life. And I decided that, well, I'm already playing half the drum set, carrying it around on the football field. So what's a few more pieces? So I've been playing the drums for about 15 years. And I've been with a few different artists over that time. But, me and Zach linked up about a year and a half ago, and things just really took off. I've learned a lot being in a bunch of go nowhere local bands, over my 15 years. But Zach really knew what was going on. And when we combined our forces together, things really started taking off for us.
That's good to hear. And I guess how did you meet the other two bandmates? Was it Caleb and who was the other one?
Sydney, our bass player. Well, the funny thing is, we found this out after the fact that we were all together playing music, but we're all autistic. And so you and I had this back and forth for like a year over Facebook. He would post an ad wanting to jam with some people, and then I would go out and look around looking for people to jam with. And I don't know, I guess out of being shy and socially awkward, we took us about a year to actually connect and sit down and do it. And then we jammed the first time, and it was really awkward, but it was very socially awkward because we're just really awkward. But we clicked, and then our Caleb, our lead guitarist, I was running a local open mic at the time, and he had come in and played some songs, and he was just absolutely amazing, fabulous guitar player, amazing singer songwriter. And I said, hey, would you be interested in doing some recording? Because we also, like I said, we're running a business here. We started a label, and so I asked him if he was working with anybody to record any of his music, and he said no. And I said, well, maybe we could be your guys. Maybe we should cut some of these tracks, release them, to the world. They need to hear. And he said, yeah, I'd be interested in something like that. And then like 2 days later, we were asked to play a show, and we needed a lead guitarist. So I called him up and said, hey, you want to jump on this show with us? And he said, sure. When is it? We're like, it's in 3 or 4 days. So he came over. We jammed the set once or twice, and he just ended up being the lead guitarist ever since.
Nothing trauma bonds a band together faster than having to learn an entire set in 3 days.
Yeah.
So when
No
he
pressure,
did that,
no pressure.
When he did that, you don't go through all that effort for nothing.
Yeah.
And we've been through a couple of bass players since we started, and we were just fresh off of parting ways with the founding bass player for the band, and we were getting really desperate. We needed somebody to play bass for 3 or 4 live performances that we had booked already, and just by miracle, we came about Sydney, basically. Yeah, it's hard to find a bass player anywhere in the country. I guarantee you, it's bass players and drummers. You can't find
So
them.
hard to find.
And this was the first time a bass player had actually just walked into our lap, basically.
Yeah.
We didn't even have to find her. But it has been It's been great. Caleb and Sydney are great. They really wish they could be here today. But it's been really fortunate that we found them, for sure, because it was just a 2-man gig for 6, 7, 8 months.
Yeah.
It was just us playing, and so we're really lucky to have them for when they're listening to this later.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll appease them by thanking them. Thanks, y'all. But yeah, and Sydney, the bass player, kind of got thrown into the same thing.
Trial by fire.
Yeah, trial by fire. It's, hey, do you want to jam? Sure. Okay, great. We have a show in like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah. You did really good on our first time through these songs. Why don't you do them in front of an entire audience this weekend?
Yep.
And that, like I said, that really bonds you together.
Yeah. It's nice to have a good solid group, and then to also have the social ineptitude through being on the spectrum that really connects us in other ways too. So
yeah.
So we're we've become a very, very close, tight-knit family very quickly.
That's very good to hear. Though I have to say, it must have been a lot of pressure on them just to like learn. I guess how many songs did they have to learn?
Oh wow! Through our set, at least 20. They also. I'm the only one in the band who doesn't do sessions work. Every other band member does do sessions work for other players around town, and so not only our set, but and solo set.
Caleb has originals. Yeah.
And then they had to an artist that we're working with now that one of our sister record labels just signed. His name's Chad Nelson. Had to learn his whole set, and he brought 2 hours worth of material. Mm-hmm. Thinking it would be it. What I don't even know how many songs are on that set list. About 20 songs. But yeah, they pull it off very easily and very quickly. And they're very in tune with their instruments.
Yeah.
I'd say by the grace of God, you found the right people to fill in your group. That's for sure. So.
Yeah. Saying all that out loud and hearing it just made me realize we're really lucky that they haven't just said, you know what, we're not doing this anymore. We quit.
Yeah.
See you guys.
This is hard.
This is hard.
It's a hard knot life for us, that sort of thing too. So, but to counter JW's point, I would say I think it's harder to find more of a bass player than it is a drummer, to be honest.
Really, it is, and especially one that's skilled and talented too, because pick up the bass as their very first instrument and say, you know what, I'm going to be a fucking bass player. A lot end up with basically a third guitar player, one that you've already filled rhythm and lead, now you got to fill bass, and if you can play guitar, you can play. He'll be in 3 other bands, but you won't find a bass player at all. They just don't exist.
All right, and I guess who do you guys consider to be your biggest influences?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, every one of us.
We're all a mixed bag.
Yeah.
I come from playing stuff like heavy metal, metalcore. I like bands like A Day to Remember and As I Lay Dying, and old mid-2010s metalcore bands like Attack Attack. And I bring a lot of that influence to the music. And then Zach, you listen to.
Oh God, I would say right offhand it would be the Beatles, the Doors, Steppenwolf, America, Casey and the Sunshine Band.
I'm going hungry.
Sydney. What are some of the bands she listens to?
Like Ghost. She likes that kind of modern.
Yeah, modern shoegaze, dark. Yeah. And Caleb. That would be
classic rock, straight up.
Skinner,
Zeppelin, Skinner, yeah,
Boston. Yeah.
So we bring a very wide set of musical tastes to the group. Everybody's got their own favorites and style that we bring, and it just kind of meshes together.
It does. It gives us a really unique sound as songwriters.
I use a little bit more double bass than you might expect in a dream pop southern rock song, but it works.
It does. It does.
I was picturing Caleb trying to do the Freebird solo at times on the guitar, to be honest.
I've got a video to show you then. Yeah. Everybody has a price for Freebird. Mm-hmm. Like ours isn't cheap, but when you start throwing 20s into the tip jar, It's
play
really
it.
hard. Yeah, I'll play anything. So we actually did the other day, got purchased to play Freebird.
Okay.
We didn't want to, but when the 20s started rolling out, it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do from time to time play Freebird if the price is right.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing like a big briefcase just comes up next to be like, okay, boys, let's do Freebird next, that sort of thing. So
We don't really do Freebird, and then they crack the briefcase. I'm like, all right, boys,
All right,
1, 2,
yeah.
3, 4.
On the second
Yeah.
thought, we do Freebird, I guess.
actually, yeah, we did do Freebird. That sort of thing. It'd be a while Zach was pointing, be like, come on, that sort of thing too. Let's go, boys, let's go, that sort of thing. I think you actually got to send me that video, then we could probably show it like after the interview. That would be something.
Yeah,
very cool.
I will send it to you.
All right, sounds good. But yeah, you guys got a mixed bag, and when I was listening to your music, it seemed like one song was different from the other too. So I guess since you guys still are relatively new, you guys been out a couple years?
Well, you know, Zach's been making music for nearly 20 years, but in our iteration as the Domogalla project, yeah, we're less than a year old.
Less than a year.
And
you guys
we've
still try to
got-
like search for an identity. That's kind of where I was trying to get at next.
Yeah. I mean, publicly, you know, definitely trying to find where we fit in at and what crowds we fit in with, you know, because there's not Muscle Shoals, especially. There's like cover bands and country bands, and we don't exactly fit in with either set. You know, we have covers. Obviously, we'll play you some Freebird, but and we know a bunch of cover songs. But when we go out and play, it's mostly original music.
Yeah.
You know, and around here, especially, you know, they like to say we've got this sound, the Muscle Shoals sound.
Yeah.
But you know, the Muscle Shoals sound it's hard to really define what that is because it's a bunch of out of town artists.
Yeah, it is. You know, Skinner recorded here, Aretha Franklin recorded here, Bob Dylan, Cher, you know, pretty sure Allman Brothers, Alabama, you know, and so what is the Muscle Shoals sound?
Yeah.
It's a culmination of all of those put together, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And it's hard to fit in here too. It's an old music town, and the sounds that are around here have been around here for decades.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're kind of the new kids on the block, even in our hometown. You know, I've been playing music here in the Muscle Shoals area for 15 years, but never in a band that sounded like us.
Yeah. People seem to enjoy it though.
Oh yeah, no, we've not been booed off the stage with tomatoes.
Yeah.
You know, or pulled off with a giant cane with a hook on the end. So I mean, we're doing okay. Yeah.
We're still alive. That's the thing. That's all that matters at the most.
Yeah.
We're still alive. It's funny about Muscle Shoals because you obviously hear more about Nashville, I guess a little bit now of LA with the whole rap scene out there too. So it's like, I guess when did Muscle Shoals really start becoming like a music city?
Oh wow, that's
Like the 50s.
Yeah, 50s.
You have to put on your historian hat at this point. So I guess try to do the best you can here. So
Yeah, got big shoes to fill and
Yeah.
a lot to live up to in this town. You know, if you want to make it anywhere.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes on between like a lot of Nashville artists, because there's only a 2-hour drive in between. So a lot of Nashville artists come to Muscle Shoals, and a lot of Muscle Shoals artists go up to Nashville to get their recording done. Like Lana Del Rey comes here to a studio right down the street from us, you know, to cut her solo stuff. And a lot of people that are in the business around this area, we're known as Little Nashville. So we kind of trade artists back and forth often,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and venues and a lot of the, you know, a lot of the Nashville artists will come here to just hang out because a lot of people like Jason Isbell is from here, Muscle Shoals. Billy Ray Cyrus was just here a few weeks ago, right down at the Alabama, having a couple of drinks, you know.
Yeah, Lana Del Rey worked at a Waffle House here in town for a couple of days. That had to be a crazy. Yeah, it had to be a publicity thing, surely.
Of course.
Yeah, she was at Waffle House.
So
hey,
yeah,
the beginnings. I mean, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, well, or I think more tellingly, musicians make so little that they have. Turns out, even the famous ones have to moonlight serving food during the day to make ends meet.
Yeah, that is definitely a topic of conversation.
I did ask, do you guys have your own street called Broadway?
We have a similar thing. Yeah. They don't call it Broadway, but it has a lot of live venues on both sides of the street, and that's where everyone goes if you want.
They call it Court Street.
Court Street, yeah. But yeah, there are lots of venues and bars and
lots of outdoor festivals and music shows and stuff. They really try to lean into the whole Music City thing.
Yeah.
So say hopefully you don't end up in court afterwards after a good night of drinking too. That's for sure.
Not yet. Haven't yet. Knock on wood. Fingers crossed.
Well, let's keep it going. That's the whole thing. So, but what I was getting at too, I was actually in Nashville like last year, and that was actually the first time I got COVID afterwards. And Broadway was pretty nice. I did to say we jumped around a good bit, listened to some music. Even had one guy come outside like a window right there because it was called the Lucky Bastard Saloon. And they had these open windows right here. And you just see this cover group just playing. And one guy just come up and start jamming while people are just crossing there. I just give a nice little fist pump, that sort of thing too. So,
yeah.
That show was pretty fun. And I guess why should I visit Muscle Shoals? Should I expect a similar experience?
Not quite.
It's smaller and quieter.
Way more tame here. Absolutely.
Yeah, for anybody who's an audiophile, though, anybody who likes anything behind the scenes and the recording process and stuff like that, you can come here and you can take tours of all the studios. You got Cypress Moon, you got Muscle Shoals Sound, you got Fame. Fame is one of the most well-known. Fame Studios is one of the most well-known recording studios all over the world. They give tours of Studio A and Studio B. Their studio and office is just right in the center of town. And then, there's a piano in there that was brought in for one of Aretha Franklin's records, and it's that original piano, and it's in there, and you can look at it and touch it. And, and that's, which song did they, the Stones were here recording in, can't remember which studio it was, where they were taking a break, and what's the song called? Wild Horses?
I think
is that so. Yeah. That happened right here. One of the band members had gone into the restroom, and the restroom was painted, and the painter had just painted horses on the wall. And he walked in there, went to the bathroom, came back out, and said, "Everybody pick up their instruments. I had an idea." And that song, Wild Horses, came from that experience while they were there in that studio. So if anybody's into music history, there's a lot of it around here.
It'll be more of like a boutique experience too. One thing about Nashville that turns me off is that it's just full, man. It's full of people. Everywhere you go is so full. And there's waiting for everything. Lines for everything, to get into even the bars with the live music. And here in Muscle Shoals, you can come down and get much more of like a more small town feeling to that. You can still see some artists, eat some great food.
At good prices, too.
Yeah, at half of Nashville's prices, too. So, I mean, it's very much diet Nashville, It's like if you want to go do some live music stuff, but you don't want to spend $1,000 to have a good time, Muscle Shoals would be a good stop.
Yeah. Caleb and I were just up there over the last 2 days. We were up in Nashville. We were invited to see the Predators game, and we were invited. We were in the Gibson's private box at Bridgestone, and we were also invited to attend the Josie Music Awards. And had we not been invited for those things, it would have been impossible for us to go. The price for everything, it just, I really shouldn't be complaining. I shouldn't say this, but I did step out of the artist area once, just to walk around and look, and I felt that I needed caffeine, and I spent over $5 for a Mountain Dew. I'm a broke musician, man. Yeah. That hurt bad.
Jesus, you're poor.
Because I'm poor.
Because we're poor.
Because we're poor, yes.
It's like they line that song, Riff Raff, Street Rat. I don't buy that sort of thing, too.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've thought I should go out busking tonight, or does it make a couple of bucks?
I mean, hey, if they have guys bounding on buckets right outside, like, let's just go back to Lucky Bastard Saloon, for instance. I mean, hey, you got to make do here and there, too, so.
Yeah.
I do have to ask, did any sort of artists, like, fall asleep on the street? Because when I was watching a documentary that talked about Nashville, they said Willie Nelson had fell asleep on Broadway in Nashville because he was just having, like, down on his luck sort of moments right there. So I guess, is there any sort of funny moments or any sort of historical moments with, like, an artist doing something like that?
I'm trying to think if I
guess really any sort of stupid shit, really. So.
I mean, yeah. I'm trying to think of anything that I could talk about that's
not JW
okay to talk about. I've woken up in places where I had no idea where I was before. That happened a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Zach.
Well, but when you're on tour and everything, and that's at this time, we had a road manager, and a road manager is basically a babysitter, and when you have to watch over a bunch of band members, it's like being a cat farmer. Can you imagine herding a bunch of cats? That's what it's like being a road manager. And I was with John Wozniak, lead singer of Marcy Playground, and every time that we went out, everybody else was responsible except for us. And we would get lobby call because we had to be in the next city. No one knew where we were at. And then we would get a phone call. It's like 6 a.m. Like, you're supposed to be here and, be in the van and go to the next show. Where are you guys? And we're like, we have no idea. And we'd like go and look for landmarks, and we got into some trouble. that happened a
Needless
lot.
to say, yeah.
These days we try to stay out of trouble. We're getting a little bit older and can't put them away like I used to.
Yeah, and I've been sober for 8 years. That helped a lot. Now I don't have so much of a problem of forgetting where I am.
Turns out the booze did.
Yeah.
Can't overdo it. All right, there we go. I was gonna say we're running against the light right here, but there we go. That's good. All right, that's pretty cool. And I think I'll have to swing down Muscle Shoals one of these days, because I think my dad wants to see Memphis first, because I think he wants to see how the blues originated. So
yeah,
Memphis is a good place to go if you want to like get shot.
I mean,
or carjacked.
Yeah.
But you could learn a couple of things on Bourbon Street while you're out there. Yeah. I used to drive Lyft out there a bunch. It's all right. I mean, Memphis is pretty cool. I mean, there are definitely, like all places, spots you don't go to in Memphis as a non-local, especially. But they got some good music stuff too on Bourbon Street.
Yeah, they do. They got a lot of good blues festivals out there too.
I'm gonna say, why would you have to jinx the whole thing with the crime? Now you know it's going to probably happen. So.
I was wondering the same thing, and then I just remembered we're both totally socially inept because of being autistic. So, I think we're doing pretty good so far. Not saying terrible things, because usually stuff slips out. So I have a feeling that like if we ever get to the point to where we're doing things on television or something, we will definitely be the band that gets fined by the FCC over and over and over again, just by accident.
Mm-hmm. You can't talk about that shit.
Yeah.
No, I think JW would be like the Sid Vicious from like the Sex Pistols, doing that sort of crazy shit on stage. Just be like, fuck you, you're a fucking wanker, that sort of thing too.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, what's the point of being famous if I can't tell people to go fuck themselves?
I mean, that's the whole reason we got into this business.
Yeah. The ultimate goal is to just tell everyone to go fuck off, and them still love me for it.
Yep. That's the reason that I started playing guitar, because I just wanted to tell people what I thought of them. and get away with it.
All things come together.
Yeah.
I would say I think we save that more for the politicians, to be honest. So.
Yeah. That just made me think of our new song.
Yeah, we actually have a new song that is very much a message to those people.
Yep.
Actually, who wrote that song? north of Richmond. I think that's what it was called, or Richmond
Anthony
north of Richmond.
Oliver.
It was
Yeah, it was Anthony Oliver.
Anthony
Yeah,
Oliver.
it's an amazing song. It really is. It speaks to the entire nation. I think he would. I think he said what we all feel, and he said it in a way that grabs attention. It was forceful yet tasteful. It's an amazing song. And from what I know about him, a pretty fantastic dude too. He'd been through a lot. So, and
It's almost like he
yeah,
became famous overnight. That's our thing too. Now he's like talking with people like Jordan Peterson, like doing all sorts of interviews, this and that. And he's got millions of views right now. So it's almost like, how can we try to match that? So
He is an excellent case of what can be accomplished when you have a PR team that knows what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
Because he wrote that song and the right articles got placed on the right websites. Some were for him, some were against it, but it was placed in the right way in the right places that it just blew up. I mean, the song is great, but the song is truly a testament to what can be achieved when money's put in the right places. I mean, it really is. He's famous overnight because somebody knew what they were doing in placing his music where it was placed. It was very carefully calculated.
The YouTube channel that put that video on, and I can't remember their name, and I feel bad for it because I'd love to give them a shout out. But I believe they're in West Virginia, and they're a local radio station, and they take these artists, and they do recordings like that out in the middle of nowhere, and they put them on their channel, and their channel is popular. And so when they post something, they got followers from all over the world, and they go specifically to that channel to find new artists because they know that they're going to like the songs because this radio station promotes a certain genre of artists. And
just got to have the right person see you one time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I actually remember that I was at one of our open mics here in town, and a buddy of mine by the name of Ryder Stone. How perfect is that?
I know, that's the lead singer's name.
Yeah, Ryder Stone. He came up to me and he said, "Hey, that channel that I always follow from that radio station posted this song by this guy, and you got to hear it." And he played it for me, and they had just posted it because he gets notifications when they post something. So it had like just been posted, and he's like, "Yeah, it's already up to like 1,000 views." And the next day he called me and he's like, "Dude, this song is up over 1 million overnight." And then I was keeping an eye on it ever since. The last I checked, I think it was yesterday, it's 86 million views.
Jesus.
On YouTube.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I was supposed to compete with that.
Exactly. Yeah. But someone had to say what he said, and I'm glad that it was him. I think he speaks for, especially coming from Nevada, being born and raised in Nevada, but then spending the last 12 years of my life in the South. I've seen how different it is in comparison. And out here, there's a lot of socioeconomic issues. There's a lot of political things that go on that I won't go into. But that song and him singing it just couldn't be more perfect for everything that's going on.
Absolutely. I guess. Are you guys going to try something similar with this new song you're coming out with?
I started writing this actually before that song came out. And we're just now finishing it up, and I'm sure that what we'll do is we'll send it to you when it's finished. But the idea behind it is
fuck rich people and fuck politicians, I think is.
Well, no, I mean in a way, I don't want to say fuck rich people, because I also believe that I love this country, and anyone, if they work hard enough, in most cases, can make more money and more money and more money. And I know plenty of people who are millionaires now who came from nothing. And that's what we're trying to do, So, but the one thing that I don't really like that happens in the South, and I should bite my tongue for saying this, because if anyone in the South sees this, I don't like people using things like religion to get rich. I don't like the organization of religion, the organization of politics, the organization of big business to make money off of people who are in disparity and in situations that just and I don't know if the person's going to get mad at me, so I won't say any names. I am not an organized religion person. I will not go into my religious beliefs. I am religious, but I'm not going to go into them. But a friend of mine, their grandmother, who was been going to this church her entire life, she wasn't there one day, and the pastor, preacher, whatever the figurehead is, said, "Oh, we noticed, so and so is not here today." And the family said, "Yeah, she's in the hospital." She was in her late 90s, and they said she's in the hospital. She's not doing well. And so he said, "Oh, we'll pray for her, and I'll go visit her." And he did the whole shebang in front of the whole congregation, playing Mr. Good Guy, and then went to go visit her in the hospital. To which he said, "I'm here for you, just to check on you. And here's your tithing bill." Because she wasn't in church to give her, collection plate money. And hearing that story and I know this specific church brings in millions a year, and yet there are families here that are starving. I mean, starving, and that church will give them a $20 voucher when they have 5 kids that are, starving. The church brings in millions a year. And, so what kind of PR guy stands up there and says, "Oh, well, we'll pray for you and we'll do what we can," and then go behind the scenes and be like, "Here's your bill because you weren't at church to give it to me then." And it struck a chord in me, and I started writing a song based on that story. And then it went into, and then we got tax collectors who are doing the same thing, and we got banks that will, give you a loan to buy a house for you and your kids, and then you hit hard times and they just take it right out from under you. And why? Why?
Any abuse of the working class, blue collar,
Yeah.
or the lifeblood of this country, and we get all the shit.
And I would never work for a company that would expect me to go and tow away someone's car when I know they need that car to go to their job. So what about they missed a payment? They have a family to feed. I could never go work a job where I say, "I'm going to take your house." I could never work a job where I say, "I need everybody to pitch money in because we all believe in this idea." And then I take 90% of it and put it in my pocket and nothing ever gets done. I couldn't do that to the people.
Well, then you are indeed a good man. I'll tell you that much. I'd say you got the patience of a saint.
Sorry,
So.
I didn't mean to go on a rant there. It's just that stuff really pisses me off.
I don't blame you too. I would have the same thing too. I would react the same way. So you're not alone.
Yeah, I see so many people that hurt, and they don't have to, and they shouldn't have to. And when you see prices, I don't know about what happened with you guys here, a few months ago, but here in town, where pretty much anybody, there is no middle class here in this area. You're either broke and minimum wage, or you're working for some tech company making a bunch of money. And the price of eggs went up to $10 a carton. So 1 hour at minimum wage after taxes pays for a half a carton of eggs. It's ridiculous.
So it's like, oh, fuck me, right? That sort of thing. So
yeah.
I can understand. It's totally fine, though, too. And in fact, I always like these sort of stories too. So
I digress. But yeah, that's just how I feel about that. So that's where that song is coming from.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing too. And it's always good kind of getting those emotions out too, because that's really what a lot of the music that at least I listen to, there was a lot of emotion too. So unfortunately, I identify more with JW on sort of the metalcore and that sort of music too. But I would say like bands like Stain and just to get the horns a little bit, Stain, maybe a little bit of Shinedown. I'm not too sure, but I know Seaver was another group that kind of talked about. There was probably a lot of anger, a lot of pain, and anxiety and stuff like that too. So I guess, is that
Yeah.
some of the things you love most about music? Or I guess, what do you guys love most about music?
Me personally, playing music is just, it's the fulfillment, you know. I love playing in front of people. I love performing, and playing the drums is a really good outlet, physically, you know, that you just don't get that in everyday life, you know, just beating the shit out of it, you know, getting all your physical exertion out. And it's very therapeutic to play music. And there's just no high, you know, higher than performing in front of a crowd that just loves what you're doing. And that's what music does for me.
Yeah, that's for me. Music gives me a voice that I wouldn't otherwise have. Being on the autism spectrum, growing up, I was not completely nonverbal, but I didn't really talk too much, and anybody out there who is aware of anyone out there who's autistic or is aware of it or knows someone who is, we do this thing called stimming, and it presents in many different ways. But I was very quiet, and I would stim a lot, and I was made fun of a lot. And with music, it gave me a voice that I didn't have. I could say things that I wanted to say. I could express my feelings, and it helped me connect to this planet in ways I never thought I would be able to. Because I've always lived in my own little world. I live in here, and it's very hard to get out of here and see what the rest of the world is like. And so when I'm playing music or when I'm writing music, I feel human, and I feel connected with every other human on the planet. And so it does a lot. It does a lot for me. Without it, I wouldn't have any social interaction with people. I'm actually agoraphobic as well. I don't like to leave my house, but I've played amphitheaters in front of 8,000, 10,000 people, and I felt amazing. I felt great. Other than that, then though, I get off stage and I if I'm not doing something musically, then I'm hiding in my room being weird. So
Yeah, pretty much.
Hopefully not doing anything naughty or anything like that, Zach. So that's all
How
good.
come everybody assumes I'm doing? I mean,
He just has that look about him.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, the way you phrased it too. I mean, I was like, oh, he's probably doing something in that room of his there. So I don't know, but it's all good. It's all good. But I guess since you mentioned about autism too, I guess, is it still one of the problems you face being indie musicians, or you guys face many other challenges?
I think it's a challenge in everyday life. I think it's the least amount of a challenge when we are doing music stuff.
Yeah.
You
Just
know,
kind of doing what comes
Yeah.
natural. Don't have to worry about anybody or anything, just playing the music.
yeah, we just play the music, and there's, I guess when it comes to talking to crowds afterwards and everything, they kind of musicians are known to be kind of weird and different anyway, so we can be ourselves. It's the day job part, or the going out, shopping, or whatever it is, paying bills that you got to do during the day, where we have to mask and try to be normal and act like other people, which is pretty hard to do sometimes.
Playing music is one of the only times we get to be our truest self.
Yeah,
You expect the band on stage to be a little eccentric and weird.
yeah,
But so I guess it just feels like home.
it does. It does.
And are you just seeing the real me, that sort of thing too, whenever you jump on stage? So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah. In fact, actually, your answers were a little bit different, because normally when I've asked that question, it was normally with like marketing and stuff like that too, or maybe they were also like dealing with another job too, since people work multiple jobs, which I'm assuming you guys do as well.
Yes, I work 2 or 3 jobs, and he works 2 or 3 jobs. I mean, I got my day job Monday through Friday, but we all do different stuff to make ends meet. He does producing, and
I also run a record label, and I'm a producer and stuff like that. So my day job is music, but it's more of like the business end of things. But it is it's a day job nonetheless.
Yeah.
A lot of office type stuff.
So you're more behind the scenes, so to speak, as I guess they would say.
Yeah.
All right. That's pretty cool though. And I guess when I was checking out some of the songs, at least like knowing what the lyrics were, I know Extension Core was a little bit dark too, but I guess what sort of inspires your lyrical content?
Well, so I write all the lyrics, and every song is something that has affected me. It's either about a way that I felt about something, like the song Roses, or it is something that I've actually dealt with in real life, such as Extension Cord.
Sorry,
So-
I'm still going.
Everything is based on a personal experience of mine.
I see. So it is kind of along the lines of like what the band Stain or some of those other groups do too. So based on
Yeah.
maybe real life experiences. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. I don't know. Did I ask you guys about COVID? I guess, did you guys have any brushes with it?
I've had it twice. The first time, it was more of a body thing. You know, I lost my taste and my smell and my body. I just felt like I was on the wrong end of a boxing match. The second time, it got me in the lungs pretty hard, and this was about 9 months ago. And I have developed what they call long-term COVID effects in my lungs, and so now I'm on an inhaler, and it kind of affects our live performances some, and we don't know how long it'll be that way. It might be that way forever now, but yeah. So that's been my experience with COVID. And have you?
If I had it, I didn't know it. I mean, I've had respiratory illnesses in the last 3 years, but I never got diagnosed with COVID. I've had my shots and my boosters. I was the general manager of a McDonald's for like 8 years, and the last 3 of those years were during COVID, and I can't imagine that I didn't catch it. But like, if I've only ever been sick for a couple of days at a time, so I mean, maybe I'm immune to it. Maybe the vaccine did what it's supposed to do, and I got the little version of it. I'm not sure, but it really didn't upend my life very much. None of my kids have gotten it. My wife's not got it. We had to work through the whole thing, the whole pandemic. Never got to stop. Never got to work from home or anything like that. So, I mean, it's real. It's a threat. You know, people are still dying from it. But all I could do is move on. You know, keep living my life. Wash my hands a bunch. Make sure we take our vitamins.
Absolutely.
I did not get vaxxed, and I have a tendency to like touch money and then lick my fingers. So I'm,
The dollar bills are not spoons for your cereal.
sure
There's
about
species
that.
in cocaine on the bills. There's species in
Exactly,
cocaine on the bills.
exactly. That's the way I see it is that, from things in my past, the things I've ingested. If that didn't get me, nothing else will.
Well, that's my line of thinking too. Like, I did so much between 21 and 27 that I may in fact be immune to most pathogens. You know.
Hey, as the saying goes, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm hella strong at this point
Yeah.
from what has not killed me already.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. And it's good to see you guys are doing really well. And I was trying to figure out too, because COVID for me, it felt weird when it started, because I still remember the date. It was March 15th, 2020, when I started working from home from my main job. And I almost went 3 years without getting COVID too. And that ties back in with the Nashville story I talked about earlier. That was the very first time I got it. For me, it just felt like a real bad cold, but they gave me the Paxlovid. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the medication right, which doesn't really get rid of it. It just kind of like lessens the symptoms per se, and then I guess helps the immune system in a way. So fun stuff, but we at least got over that episode too. Though I have to blame my daddy for it, so that's the thing. So I don't know if
So
I
then-
asked this, but I guess what gear do you guys use when you do your music production?
I use Mackie when it comes to interfaces and monitors. I have used Pro Tools and Logic and Ableton and everything, but what I really like is I use Reaper for all the recording. And then we have actually just some generic mics. I'm super embarrassed to say this, but our drum mics came from Temu.
We shopped like billionaires.
Yep. And then for our amplification, Caleb and I both use Delta Blues Peavies. He's a Les Paul player, and I am a Fender Jaguar player.
And I play a bunch of 20-gallon buckets turned upside down.
Pretty much. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, our recording setup is it's nothing fancy. I've been in really big, expensive studios before, but I've done it so long that I learned a lot of tips and tricks about mic placements, and sometimes less is better. And also, a lot of it is based on the ear of the producer. And so you got people out there who are, cutting records and winning awards and getting radio play who recorded out of their bedroom, and we're kind of following that same thing right now. We just make sure that we write a song the best that we can, and then we listen back and we revise it and we tinker with it, and then once we feel that it's the song itself is solid, then we go into the recording process, and we just do it with minimal gear. Everything is small enough that it's mobile, so we can move it around with us and move it. And so the drummer, we can go to the drummer's house to record the drums, and go somewhere else to record guitars, and we save a lot of money doing that way too.
That's pretty sweet. And I guess, as the saying sometimes goes, less is more in a way. So you just want to start small, and as they would say, like with humble beginnings as well. So, and hey, whatever floats your boat too. So whatever works. So that's very good to hear. I guess how much trouble is it trying to set up all the mics on JW's set?
It's fucking sucks, man. If I had $1 for every time I had to set up a microphone and shit on my drum set, I wouldn't even have to play music anymore. But I mean, any drummer will tell you that.
If we knew what we were getting into, we wouldn't have done this.
Go back in time and make sure that my 17-year-old self knows just what the fuck I'm getting into.
I should have went to college, damn it.
Yeah, should have picked up a string instrument or something, because all the work I have to do. But it's a bitch. But I mean, it comes with the territory. I mean, of course, I'd love to have an intern do it all for me. But all I have to do is set the mics up and do the sound check. This guy does all the real work once we do that. So it's not that bad.
Originally, when I decided that I wanted to be a musician, I actually wanted to be a drummer because there was something appealing to just, I don't know, I just, I don't know. I guess the beat, everything, just putting everything together.
It looks cool,
and it does. And
that's
it
how
looks
they rope
cool,
you in.
That's how they rope you in. Yeah,
new blood in there, because once you actually become a drummer, you're like, what the fuck did I just sign up for?
Yeah. And the reason that I ended up going with guitar instead of drums is, at the time, drums were too expensive.
And they still are.
Later on, I found out that I couldn't count time for shit anyway, so I've been a terrible drummer. But the whole reason I play guitar is because I wanted to save some money.
If there's one thing I can do, it's count. So
I
can do that. I can count to 4 over and over so well that I became a drummer.
Let's say counting to 4 is like the more easier ones too. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4.
Everything is in 4/4 if you just stop being a nerd about it.
That's cool. I would say my drumming actually started by accident, because I was actually a strings guy too. I actually played cello way back in the day, and I took up a little bit of bass, but I never really got into it. I happened to get into drums because of video games, because of Rock Band. I don't know. Are you guys familiar with that?
Yeah.
that's a funny story, man. I mean, I actually, the first step to being a drummer is that you have to learn how to tell your feet, your right foot and your right hand specifically, to separate. And we call that limb independence. And I didn't have that for shit. I played in the marching band, and that's not the same. So I bought Guitar Hero Metallica, and it come with a drum set, and I would sit down with that drum set, and I would you turn off your ability to fail, so there's no funky sounds when you miss notes, and I would sit there and kick that kick drum when the note rolled across the screen, and I'd hit the snare and the hi-hat, and I did that over and over and over until I could tell my right foot and my right hand to do two different things, and then I bought a drum set. So I kind of taught myself to play the drums with Guitar Hero Metallica.
Nice.
You gave him the one moment to be Lars Ulrich for a day.
Really? Yeah. I was like, whoa, this snare sounds like shit.
Yeah, you're using a metal bed now just to do the whole thing with Saint Anger nowadays.
Exactly.
There actually was a video with a guy who was like hitting a beer keg with a aluminum bat. I don't know if he was holding two, because like one was like hitting the hi-hat and the other one was hitting this beer keg that was simulating the snare sound, because apparently Lars's snare was like so compressed that it sounded like it was like hitting a beer can. So
yeah, I don't know why they chose to do that, but and it took them like 8 months to figure out which snare they were going to use too.
When you have that many and that many snares, sounding like shit is kind of not an excuse.
Exactly.
Well, people always rip on Lars for like not being like the professional sort of type. I think he was more of kind of like how me and JW are. We just learned it like all self-taught, and then we just kind of like improvised whenever it came to like counting or something like that.
Yeah, they were all, as far as I know, they were all self-taught. And then James Hetfield ended up eventually taking vocal lessons, because his vocal cords had gone through so much from not singing correctly. I'm not saying that he didn't sing good. It's just that there are certain techniques that he wasn't applying, and it strained his voice pretty bad. But other than that, I'm pretty sure they're all self-taught.
Well, I would say he was screaming a good bit on Kill 'Em All, so I think you could see why he would take vocal lessons.
Yeah. Hey, he put a lot of oomph behind those first couple of albums.
That's for sure. All right, so let's jump into this one. Then we got some fun questions afterwards. But what advice would you give to the other indie musicians? Because I'm assuming you guys interact a good bit in the Facebook group Band Together.
Yeah, I do. I do all of that interacting. I love that group, and I mean, if I had to say anything, it's just keep at it. Especially when it comes to the social media stuff. Once you get some people on your team, it's easier to grow in the social media space. It's so hard to do it alone. And so having that group has been really a gift, meeting a lot of other artists, some who are much further along in this journey than we are, and then some who are just starting, So I would just say, just don't give up. You don't have to give it 100% effort every single day, as long as you give it some effort every day, because you'll burn right the fuck out.
Yeah, you will.
Just don't burn out. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Burning out is something that can happen both physically and mentally with doing this. And I personally, I've gone through a lot of people being real downers about what I do. I've been told by many executives and producers that my lyrics are just not what people want to hear, and but not just me, but this goes for anybody who writes songs. Whatever it is that touches them, that makes them want to write a song, things like happiness or things like sadness, depression, loss, any of those, even though every single person goes through that completely alone, because for whatever reason they're feeling that way is their own, it's their own experience. Everybody on the planet does feel those same things though. You hurt, you feel depression, you feel sadness, maybe for different reasons than mine, but the fact is we both share it. And you have had those feelings, and everybody listening to this and watching this have had those feelings. So we're all a lot more connected than we feel. And so with that in mind, if you got something you want to say through music, do it. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise, because someone out there is going to connect with it. And, that touches people. And if that's what makes you want to write a song, then don't ever let anyone stop you. Go out and touch as many hearts as you can. Say what you want to say.
Be what you want to be. That sort of thing too. Yeah. That's pretty cool. I do it as JW. Do you kiss your mother with that mouth?
Sometimes.
All right, that's pretty good. No, I was just kidding. You're good. You're good. And I would say, yeah, and I've kind of dealt with this uphill struggle because eventually it would be nice to turn this whole podcasting thing into a nice little career too, because I always wanted to have my own little studio. Well, I should say more recently. It wasn't really something I thought of when I was a kid too. And don't you hate it too whenever you think you have like a dream for something and then like somebody else comes in, it's like, why didn't I think of this before? So I don't know. Did you guys have something like that?
Yeah, I have had that happen in the most random ways, and yeah, I mean just with everything. I remember 15 years ago, I thought, you know what, it would be really cool if there was one of these companies that we order things from online that would deliver by drone. Everyone said I was stupid for even thinking that.
Now Amazon drop shit off on your
porch. Yeah. Drone. But musically, actually, I've thought about some song that I may have stopped myself from doing because I'm like, oh no, if I put that in there, it's going to sound ridiculous, or no one else is doing that. That's too new, or it's too crazy of an idea. And sure enough, then someone else does it, and then boom, I'm like, why didn't I?
I get that a lot being in that band together group because you see people who have been doing this and how they've been maintaining their social media appearances and stuff like that. And I look at them like, why didn't I think of doing it like that? But I mean, that's kind of the point. You see a better way of doing it and you're open to doing it. I try not to beat myself too much about it. I'm always willing to learn and just be open to learning, is definitely new advice. Don't think that everything because someone's already done it and they've done it better than you're doing it right now.
Yeah, and that goes for anything in life.
No doubt.
But yeah, that's you. This guy handles the social media side of everything because the content that he creates just blows my mind. I love it.
It's mostly memes.
Yeah, and they're great. They're absolutely great.
It gets it done.
I mean, I saw Bigfoot with a big booty walking there, so I'm curious where you got that idea.
Yeah, I just find shit, man. And, when it comes to being on social media like Facebook prioritizes things that grab attention. And it intentionally downplays like outside and external links. And for musicians, that's detrimental. You can't make posts with your YouTube link in it because Facebook's algorithm will automatically shit on that. Mm-hmm. You can't post links with your Spotify in it. It's getting shit on. But you post a 2-panel meme about Sasquatch with a fat ass, 1 million likes, shared 600 times, So for me, it was all about get the audience and then you can show them what you want them to see. But if you don't have the audience to begin with, I mean, it doesn't matter what you're posting if nobody's going to see it. So, yeah, I mean, we've gotten 1,200 followers based on posting musical and non-musical memes and jokes. But now when we do share things that are pertaining to our music, at least there's someone there to see it now.
Yeah, and I mean, I managed the page for, a good 8 years, and like my mom would like something I post, kind of. But that was it. I mean, I had like no followers. I had no, and I was under the idea of like, oh, well, I just released a song. I better get on there and tell people about it. Did absolutely nothing. and then you in just a short couple of months have just, now we're to the point where the page is monetized and we have real engagement, and some of the other local artists are taking your meme ideas and kind of putting a spin on it on their own, and yeah, it's really cool. You have a real knack for that.
That's good to hear. And I don't know where you got the whole thing with the Sasquatch with a fat ass, though, but I have to admit that was pretty freaky, to be honest. And I also saw the Clint Eastwood. In fact, I actually got your Facebook page up now. It's like showing like Clint Eastwood say like, "This is what happens when you interrupt me during my first daily Dr. Pepper" or something like that. I guess what movie was that? What movie was that with Clint Eastwood?
Dirty Harry.
Dirty Harry, yeah.
That's pretty cool. And he passed away recently, didn't he?
Did he?
I'm not sure. It seems like he might have. He was old as shit.
He was old as shit, but damn, no, he's one of them guys that have to live forever.
That's for sure.
That's funny.
Well, if he has passed away, I think people can at least put it down in the comments. So we'll see what people say. Maybe they'll just yell at us, being like, "Why aren't you up with the times?" That sort of thing.
Please brutally correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
That's all good to hear. And I guess we can jump into the fun questions, but this one was a part of it. But I guess, Zach, can you tell us what a Moon Eyes was about? Because I would say that one, after listening to all your songs, I would say that one was my personal favorite.
Yeah.
About your girlfriend.
Yeah. It's okay. So, are you familiar with Cyanide Kiss?
I did listen to that one too. That one I would say was a little bit more rock oriented, but I would say that one's a close number 2.
Okay, that's pretty much about the same person. So you got one that's like pretty and beautiful, and another one that's like, I wouldn't even know how to describe Cyanide Kiss.
Toxic.
Yeah, toxic.
Toxic, very toxic, dark. The German word Schadenfreude, finding joy in my pain. That kind of thing. But Moon Eyes is basically it's about a lonely feeling about being in love with someone or something that might as well be the moon, because it's totally unattainable. She's unattainable. He's unattainable. It is unattainable. Being in love with something that'll never exist. And the sadness of that.
I see. That's pretty good. Killer song. Keep it up there, bud. So, all right. And not to get into the legitimate fun questions, but I guess, what is your favorite food?
What's our favorite food?
I guess I imagine it's different between the two of you, but yeah, what is your favorite food?
Anything his wife cooks for us. Oh, there she is. Hi.
Yeah, my wife is the band chef, and she makes us all kinds of goodies. I don't know, favorite food, really, anything my wife cooks is really good.
What are the mushroom things that you make? Stuffed mushrooms. I actually asked her for like just a plate of those stuffed mushrooms for my birthday.
I would say, JW, does she know how to do banana pudding?
Say what?
I would say, does your wife know how to do banana pudding?
Oh, yeah. No, she can make a mean banana pudding. She makes really good pasta, like homemade lasagna, spaghetti.
Makes the noodles.
Bellissimo.
It's, yeah.
Perfecto, that sort of thing. Or anything like that.
Tutto bene, or whatever it is the Italians say.
Actually, I was going to say maybe that could be a bargaining chip for you. Be like banana pudding and a little rough sex afterwards. So, why is she standing right there?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, man, that's going to give you some loving. Yeah, I just gave you a nice idea there, too. It could be a nice bargaining chip for later. So, all right. Sorry, I thought you was inside. All right.
I guess, yeah, so that would be number one, but like fast food, I don't know, man. The junkier, the better. I generally never take any pictures that show my body unless it's from the eyes up, because of the fact that, junk food exists, and I'm built like an egg with feet, so. And I'd like to thank Taco Bell for that. I'd like to thank Cookout for that.
Now accepting sponsorships.
Yeah.
I would say I always dug a bean croissant when it came to Burger King too. I mean,
Oh my gosh, the bacon, egg, and cheese croissant, which is yes. That's that's like in my top 5. The only problem is it's musician hours, so I'm never awake to enjoy those.
I'm catching some Z's too, or thinking about. I think mine was the egg, cheese, and sausage croissant. So close enough, but it's at least still a Burger King croissant too. So that's all good.
Yes, they are so good.
Melt that shit down and put it straight in the vein.
Seriously, I go in there and get like 6 of them and
You inject it too, like right here into the bone marrow, that sort of thing too.
Yep. Shoving them in
I have
my
a
eyes.
sandwich in a spoon, and I'm just lighting that shit up, ready to freebase that sandwich.
There's a picture like too, like being a dog that's like real happy for like a treat or something like that. So that's everything. All right, that's cool. And what is your favorite movies? Do you want to do like a top 3, or unless you guys have just one particular movie you really like?
I'll give you my top 3. Shrek 1, Shrek 2, Shrek 3.
He is a father of 2 young children, so.
Hotel.
So you just do all the kids' movies, yeah.
My favorite movie would probably have to be James Dean's Rebel Without a Cause.
Okay, and I guess JW, have you got through the Disney Renaissance phase yet with your kids?
We're going through it right now. The trick is just trying to get my little boy to watch the shows that I watched as a kid, because like we're talking like the 1972 animated Robin Hood, and I'm like, son, this is a work of art. There aren't movies made like this anymore. Robin Hood's a fucking fox, okay, literally a fox, and he's like, put on Blippi. So, you know, I'm
killing me,
trying.
son. That's our thing.
He needs to grow up a little bit, I think, before he can really appreciate, you know, all those old classics, like what I grew up with.
Sounds good. I'm going to say good luck to you, man. You're going to have some explaining to do for some of them, at least.
Yeah.
All
Like,
right.
Daddy, why does this TV show look like shit? And I'm like, because it was made in 1972. Things were a little different back then.
Things were a little statically. We had these so-called rectangular boxes we had to insert into our TVs. I hit the rewind button so many times. It wasn't like we just go to the main screen and just hit play. So we had to actually hit buttons. So that's how it was.
Yeah, trip him out over rotary
Dad, what did you do in the bathroom before your cell phone? It's like, I guess I just read magazines. Or I just took a dump. You know?
We had the newspaper, that sort of thing, too. That's the stereotype.
Now I got the news.
We watch our Fox and CNN news right here on the shitter, that sort of thing, too. So that's all good. Because that's what I'm using to wipe my ass afterwards. So.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. I know you guys touched on, I guess you guys had bad experiences with alcohol, too. I guess back then in the day, I guess, what was your favorite alcoholic drink? And then what was your favorite non-alcoholic drink now?
Did you ever really have a problem with alcohol? Like,
I mean, yeah, I drank way too much, despite what it did to me and the way that it made me feel. Having a problem with it now, though, definitely not. I still do occasionally enjoy some alcoholic beverages. Back in the day when I was a little bit younger and I was drinking a lot, really it was anything, man. And that's how you kind of know that it's gone a little bit too far, because I would go and be like, how much whiskey can I get for $20, you know, and just buy the absolute worst. But if the option to pick was presented to me, I always chose whiskey sour. Make it with a Maker's Mark. And I want it done real, like with real lemon and lime, a little bit of Sprite. Not that mix, that margarita mix that tastes like shit and makes your stomach upset.
fancy.
Now it's sweet tea.
And Zach, I know, Zach, you said you've been 8 years sober now?
Yeah, I'm sober for 8 years.
He still smells the beers sometimes.
I do on occasion.
I'd say don't take him to a brewery. I think that'd be a bad experience afterwards.
Ever since I decided to quit drinking, I've never really had a problem with it. I'm around it all the time, and it doesn't bother me. But I think it's because it just what I went through because of drinking was a long, painful, terrible process, and so I don't even want. I mean, even if I was told that I could, because I can't drink, it'll kill me now.
Then that's good motivation.
So
to
yeah,
not drink.
but now it's to the point to where even if I could, I still wouldn't. I don't. It doesn't serve the purpose that it did before.
And now even when I drink, like Caleb likes to put them back. He's the youngest one in the group. But brother, if I crack a beer open and smell it, I'm hungover the next day. So I just really got to make sure that when I drink that it counts. And it really wasn't like I was drinking so much I was ruining my job and my relationship. But what I did ruin was my music. When you drink a lot, you tend to think, I'm really good at this. And you are not actually.
No.
Everyone can tell that you're drunk, and especially a guitar player might be able to BS their way through it. Honestly, you might. But having to coordinate all four limbs, it's really evident when you're drunk.
Yeah.
And, when you're not at the top of your game. And so, if you're drinking a lot and you're playing drums, and you think that you're good, it's just because no one in your life has the balls to look you in the eyes and tell you that you have a fucking problem drinking and you need to back off.
Yeah.
So, definitely, I don't take a sip of alcohol until the show's over. That's just rule number one when it comes to trying to be a professional musician. What they don't tell you when you're a young man or woman and you're getting into being a musician, and you want it. Young people, when you're young, you're so hungry. You want it so bad. And you just start doing things that you think you might ought to be doing because this is what rock stars do. And really everybody needs someone who can sit down with them and be like, you can't start being a rock star until you are one. You can't drink like one. You can't do drugs like one. You can't live that life until you are one. Because you're just going to fuck it up. Yeah, and fail.
Yeah.
Amen to that. I'll tell you much. But it's good to see, Zach, that you are doing pretty well. And I guess, JW, keep drinking responsibly. So
absolutely. That all things in moderation and no alcohol until the performance is done. You follow that rule and you'll be all right.
Yeah, it's different. We're both in our 30s, and the other players are 23, 24, and Caleb's 23.
Yeah,
23. Sydney's 27. She doesn't really party or anything like that, but but being in our 30s, and him having kids and everything. It's we go out and do the rock star lifestyle. Is we go and we load in, and we physically hurt because of it. We spend some time bitching about it. We play the show. Everybody breaks down. We make a bunch of old people noises, and we go home and go to sleep. So,
very anticlimactic.
Very
The fun is being on stage and the connections that we've made that day, and you don't actually have to go get shit faced and black out to have a good night.
That's for sure, yeah. But it's good to see you guys are doing well too. So let's keep up the good work there, boys. So, and the last of the fun questions, what is currently your favorite song?
Currently favorite song. You go first on this one. I need a minute to think about this.
It's actually a song called Safety of Disbelief by a band called Light the Torch. And the lead singer of Light the Torch is was the second lead singer of Killswitch Engaged. Howard, I think is his name. He's the African-American man. He sings with a real deep, he sung Holy Diver. Holy Diver!
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, it's his new band.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
It's their new-ish. I don't know how old it is because I'm very behind on the times, but it's just like old Killswitch Engaged. fucking love it. Takes me right back to being 17 again. It's good shit. If you like heavier music, now I mean it's not like Job for a Cowboy or death metal, but it's very much classic metalcore. Good stuff.
I just started recently getting into a catalog by an artist named Jack Landis. And I haven't done enough research to know much about him or where he's from, but there's a song called Glass Eyes by Jack Landis that I heard, and for me, it was really stimmy. It's very dreamy, and when I use the word stimmy, like it tickles me in my autistic ways. I love the way it makes me feel. And so I've just started like delving into his catalog and learning more about him. That's my newest fascination. Because I'll get like hyper focused on one artist, and then I'll have to figure out who they are, where they're from, what kind of gear they play. I have to listen to their entire catalog, and then I move on to the next. That's how I digest music.
I see. Actually, it's funny, JW, when you mentioned about Job for a Cowboy and that other sort of death metal artist too, because that's the music I listen to every now and again. So
yeah, well, I mean, it's like when someone's like, "What's the heaviest music that you can think of and describe?" I was 19 years old, I think, when Entombment of a Machine came out by Job for a Cowboy, and it was like all my friends were listening to it, and I was like, maybe if I just listen to it a whole bunch, I'll start to like it too. And I did. I listened to the shit out of that whole album. And at the end of it, I was like, you know what? I find it so hard to get into music that is this heavy. Like many things in this world, the heaviness of metal is a spectrum, a big wide one. And there's just that corner off to the far right that I can't get into, that they're really extreme, guttural lyrics, and everything's just so chuggy and short that nothing really feels rhythmic to me. I'm sure I'll catch some fucking heat for saying that.
You know how technical that is?
Yeah, that's the technical works of art. You just pussy, But I tended to like my things a little bit more to the metal core side of things. I do love the growling and screaming vocals. I love the chug. I love the blast beats and the chanting and all that good stuff, but I just can't get into the really extreme stuff. I mean, and that's not just Job for a Cowboy. That's like early Bring Me the Horizon, or early Suicide Silence. That shit was just so hard to listen to, and I wanted to like it so much, but I just had to dial it back a notch. Couldn't get, and I couldn't do that anyway. Like if that was what I was really into, I couldn't play that kind of drums anyway. I can't blast beat for 45 seconds straight, and I can't double bass at 240 beats per minute. I love to double bass, but it's more like quads and sixlets and triplets and stuff like that. And I do some double bass, doing like 16th notes and stuff like that, but it's not speed metal and it's not extreme. So, I mean, my musical taste, I've always said I love heavy metal. I love metal music, but more like metalcore, that alt metal. I think metalcore is kind of shifted into something else now, and I'm not even really sure what it is now, but that's my jam, man.
Yeah, but there was a time where we were hip, and we were like, this is where it's at.
This was cool
we were
stuff.
telling our parents they were full of shit for liking all this old stuff. Yeah, that's fuddy-duddy music. And now we hear what's coming out that's new, like in the metal genre or whatever. We're like, what the fuck is this? Doesn't make any sense.
Stained and Seether were my, some of the first rock bands I enjoyed, and now that's classic rock.
I know. It feels
fucking
weird.
insane is what it is.
Weird.
I've already got one.
They got old. Yeah, they got old. So.
Yeah.
I want to say I'm going to send JW a link because I think I can contest like what song would be heavier than Entombment of a Machine. So,
I think that titular song, I'm pretty sure it was called Entombment of a Machine, and he's like, he does that pig squeal,
Yeah, he did it throughout that whole EP. Yeah, that was, I think, the only time he does that because his voice really improved afterwards.
Yeah. And, you know, I tried to listen to, they had a follow-up album. This has been so many years ago, and I tried to give it a listen too. And it's, you know, I dipped my feet in and gave it a shot, and I just couldn't even. It's not that I can't understand what he's saying. I mean, shit, if you listen to, you know, like Unholy Confessions by that whole album by Avenged Sevenfold, M Shadows has parts in there where he does these screams, and by God, without the fucking booklet, you can't understand what he's fucking saying. And that's fine, you know. Nobody reads the booklet anymore.
Yeah.
What the fuck am I saying?
Nobody reads anymore.
What?
We Google things now. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Right. But it's just that, you know, that whole style of music was just, and which is weird because I played in like a doom metal band with a friend of mine for like a 9-month period, and it was just really slow, sludgy double bass and breakdowns and stuff like that. Not at all like Job for a Cowboy, but you know, the heaviest of metals is generally the only thing that I can't play. You know, I can play everything else. You know, I can enjoy everything else.
I would say they did come out with a new song, and I think it'll put your bass player to shame too, because you hear a good number of like the thing with like slapping the bass when you do it with your thumb and all that stuff.
There's no doubt. You definitely have to. It attracts a certain caliber of musician because only a certain caliber of musician can play that well. You know.
Absolutely,
for sure.
too. All right. We're losing everybody. They're getting out of camera range. There we go. Okay. But we are down to the last question. Before we jump into it, did you guys have any questions for me, or if you want to say before we jump into it?
I've had a blast, and I appreciate you having us on the show, man.
Yeah, it's been fun. We really appreciate the opportunity. You're taking your valuable time to talk to us.
No worries. It was a good thing, too, but it's that time of the year when the light starts going down. It doesn't last as long when it used to still have a good amount of ray of light after 8 o'clock my time. I guess it's 7 o'clock right now. It's already dark outside. So
I know.
Yeah.
I didn't anticipate it getting dark so quick, but it did sneak up on us.
that was a good thing I had the light on hand too. But pretty soon we're gonna be moving the clock back, and we'll get that extra hour back. So that's all good. All right. So for the last question right here, you guys probably already touched on it a little bit too, but just to kind of reiterate, given what COVID has done, I guess what sort of message of hope could you give to musicians and people out there as we try to move forward in a post-COVID world?
Well, I think, you know, being musicians and speaking for musicians, you know, there's a lot of a depression that comes with being stuck at home and not being able to go out and do, you know, live shows and connect with people, because a lot of this job involves connecting with people. And there have been other ways that going live on Facebook, going live on Instagram, finding other ways to make revenue. But I think that even if you're not really making revenue, it's still important to make connections with people however you can. And so, you know, try to find any avenue that you can to still connect with people, whether it's through sending, you know, messaging people, getting on some of the social media sites where you can turn on a camera and just play live, meet people, talk to people. You know, there's always, because of things like this, there's cell phones and computers, you got a whole world out there, and it's possible to tap into it. And especially for musicians and anybody who's also dealing with feeling alone and depression and all that, I know it's hurt them being stuck at home. Just, you know, don't hesitate to reach out in any way you can. You know, that's,
The world needs creativity and music and soul now more than ever, and people need something to believe in and something to give them purpose. And music is all of that. So definitely don't. If you've got a creative soul, don't let anything dampen that. And against all odds, you got to do your best to let that inner fire out, because if you don't, you'll definitely have a life of regret.
Mm-hmm.
from not living, at least trying to live your truest self.
Yeah, that brings up another point. I know so many people who are artists, whether it be with pen, pencil, some type of art form, or writing, poetry, or thinking of skits, audio visual skits and things. And now with a lot of downtime, a lot of time at home, now's the time to experiment and try those things.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people out there that I know who say, well, I write songs, but I could never do what y'all do, because it's just, it's kind of big and scary, but I want to. Well, then now's the time to do it. Do it. Do it today, do it tomorrow, do it the next day, because you never know. And put your art out there, put your feelings out there. Start a blog, anything. Just do it. And the thing that my parents always, I'm a high school dropout, actually. I told my parents, I can't do this. I cannot conform to this way of life. It doesn't make any sense to me. I got to go and try to be me and find me and be a musician. And I said, well, you know what? You're not getting any younger, so go and do it. Go and do it. And so I think that extrapolates to anybody and anything that they want to do. You have the free time, go, learn, experience, just do it. There's no excuse. There's no excuse not to.
Spoken like a true prodigy. So that's all good. And thank you so much for you guys sharing. I do have to kind of go off on a tangent here at first, but I actually teamed up with Storm Kingdom, and he actually did the music, and I actually did vocal work on a song that we're hopefully going to get done soon, because I know he's doing all the work, because I don't know how to do any mixing and mastering for crap, to be honest. So hopefully they have it around Thanksgiving or something like that too. So we'll see what happens, but it's all in his hands now too. So I guess, when did you guys say you were going to release your newest song or single?
We're hoping to release it within the next 2 weeks.
All right, sounds good. And,
so we don't have an actual release date yet, but when we do, we'll let you know.
All right, sounds good. And
Cool.
So JW and Zach, we've reached the end of my podcast right here. I guess, did you guys have any final words or anything you want to say before we close?
Thanks for having us on, man. We really appreciate it. It's been a really good time, and we definitely hope to be back on again in the future, and maybe with the whole group this time.
Yeah.
Maybe then we'll have my studio up and running too, so we'll see when we get you in then. Let's see what happens. So,
okay.
Awesome.
All right.
All right.
Everyone,
so
I guess.
Nope.
Well, we're not done yet. Hold on, I got to do it this way. Everyone, my guest today was Zach and JW, and they're part of the Domogalla project. You'll hit them up on the socials. I guess, what do you guys all use outside of Facebook? So how else can people reach you?
DomogallaMusic.com, and then from there it'll branch out to all of our other socials, Instagram and everything else that we're on.
All right, sounds good. So go hit up on the socials right there. These guys are doing wonders out there. So Zach and JW, now we can close. That's our thing too. So y'all stay safe, rock on, stay tuned, y'all.
You too. Later.